views, information, or opinions expressed during the Geeks Under the Influence podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of RVA Magazine, Loot Crate, amzn.to, or their employees. Listener discretion is advised. Fuck off if you don't like it.
My question is, why has it got to be a dark tower?
Well, I mean, it's kind of not ominous if it's like,
big.
Oh, it's the pink, it's the rainbow tower,
The light bright tower.
right? The light bright tower.
I don't think it would have as much effect if it was the fuchsia tower.
Like
Fabulous.
Stephen King's new book, The Mauve Tower.
lipstick and perfume. Oh my god.
13th floor, apocalypse.
Yeah, right.
Pump shoes.
It'd be the purple tower, and on the 18th floor is where RuPaul's Drag Race is recorded. Yeah.
The purple-headed tower.
Yeah.
But see, if it wasn't
the giant beam that shoots out of the top.
If it wasn't dark though, would the Field of Roses made a difference? Because that's like one of the big contrasts to the Dark Tower. It's like this beautiful.
Is that the pubes?
Yes.
That'd be the pubes. Yes,
the
the pubes.
bushy.
It's rose
base.
petals. Just
I'm going to start
Fields of
calling my
Roses.
pubes the Field of Roses. I trimmed my Field of Roses.
Oh, please do not. Please never say that sentence ever again.
All right, that's good enough. All right, guys, what we're talking about tonight is the Dark Tower, not the Hobbit's
take long.
pubes. No, because I can't do any better than
That's
that.
what she
I can't. And I did not want to know that your pubes look like the Field of Roses either. That's just a nightmare scenario right there. Like, it couldn't touch that scene in my head. But tonight we're talking about the Dark Tower series. The books, more so. We will get into the movie, but trying to steer a little bit clear of that because it's disappointing and makes me sad in pants. So anyway,
But there are spoilers.
there will be spoilers because we are going to address the movie. So welcome to episode 114, The Dark Tower.
Geeks Under the Influence.
Yeah, woo! Fucking Dark Tower.
Dark Tower.
This is another episode I have been harping on for and trying to get you to read for a very long time.
That is very
Try to get
true.
everyone to read the Dark Tower. Everyone tries to force like Harry Potter down my throat. I'm like, I will read it if I see you pick up the gunslinger.
And you're trying to force your Dark Tower down other people's throats.
Damn right.
Okay, all right. That's the thing.
With a vengeance. Dark Tower with a vengeance.
You swallow that
the
dark
sequel.
swallow that dark tower until the bed of roses hits your lips.
Rests firmly on your chin.
Oh.
He just wants you to choke on that dark tower.
Yeah.
Deep throating is deep towering. Is that?
He does not shoot with his hand.
Oh my God.
He who shoots
Already.
with his hand has forgotten the face of his father.
Oh yeah. No, that was not needed to be said 3 times in the fucking movie, by the way. Jesus
okay,
Christ.
so we're starting off well.
Yeah, I mean, so, but the Dark Tower series has always been has been close to my heart. It literally, I love Stephen King, but when I started reading that, like, I literally fell in love with his writing, and it's never been the same ever since. Like, everything he does is pretty much just, not everything, but everything he does I at least appreciate. Versus before, I would like, that book kind of sucked, you know. Now it's kind of, I can go back and there's reference to a lot of his books to the Dark Tower.
I think that was one of my big things with Stephen King, because I have a love-hate with Stephen King, and we were talking about this before we started the podcast, but I threw The Stand out the 4th floor window of my apartment building because the fucking hand of God, really? You know, like, he writes himself into a corner and then he can't get out, and so I had sworn off Stephen King for a long time, and a friend of mine was like, no, you have to read The Gunslinger. You need to read this book. And like 2 weeks later, I had torn through all 8 of them, you know, like a couple of thousand pages, because I just couldn't put it down. So it really is the one thing that got me back into saying, okay, maybe this guy can write a good book.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Not even just a good book, but this magnum opus. Like, it's so fucking huge what he created. But before we get too into it, we should tell you who's on the panel today.
Yeah, that would
talking about the Dark Tower. That would probably be nice. First off, we've got Katie Turbo.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
The only girl on the panel.
Who's coming with her insight to the movie.
Yes. I have not read The Dark Tower yet, but I want to read the series. I love Stephen King as a writer. And So I'm really excited to actually understand a little bit more about the book in contrast to the movies. But with the movie, even coming from the perspective of somebody that hasn't read the books, I was very disappointed, which we will get into the second half.
Oh, definitely.
But even, for me, that because we'll also talk about the generational kind of gap between the understanding as well. But yeah, like the movie didn't do it for me. And
kind of left me with blue balls.
But yeah, so I'm excited to be here to kind of offer a little bit of perspective from that, but also to kind of gain a little bit of understanding as far as the books go, because I've heard the books are amazing. Like I said before, Stephen King is an amazing writer, so I don't think I will be disappointed with this episode.
Yeah, you will not. Next up, we got Edweird.
Happy to be back again. This is another thing that I've been trying, like you said, you've been trying to get this whole Dark Tower, and I'm a big fan of nerd literature and sci-fi literature and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm very excited to talk about the writings and talk about the books, and having seen the movie, the perspective of how that plays into the books and all that. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here, and this is going to be a good episode.
Fuck yeah,
Be fun.
Yeah.
Yep. Next up, we have Myke.
Hi, everybody. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me again. And before everybody hates me, I really found some things to like about the movie, and I have a couple complaints about the book.
Your opinion is about as good as your sunglasses. Like, they're rough.
Next up, we got a first timer here.
Yeah.
It's Dustin
Dustin.
Cuervo.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the shit show.
Thank you. I'm a longtime Stephen King reader. I was actually waiting for one of the new, I think it was the 5th Harry Potter book to come out, and I picked up The Gunslinger, and I've been reading Stephen King ever since, and I find that all of the connections that you can find within his Dark Tower series branching out to other books is really what keeps me going. I'll read a non-Dark Tower book and look for the connections.
So your first Stephen King book was The Gunslinger.
It was
very
The
first.
Gunslinger.
That's
Very
fucking
first
awesome.
one.
Nice. I think you're the first person I know that's ever been introduced through the Dark Tower. That's pretty badass.
Well, you think about how Marvel's doing with the multiverse and everything right now. That's something that I wouldn't say Stephen King created. I would say probably H.P. Lovecraft before anybody else really incorporated a common theme, mythos behind all the books that were connected. But Stephen King definitely rode that wave and does that with the Dark Tower series and all of the books that are connected and everything. It's incredible.
Yes, it is. Like, and to do that in movie form, I feel like, because it's visual, I feel like would actually be a lot easier to do than trying to do all this over the last 40 years in novels. Like, that's just, and to keep consistency. Yeah. That's like a headache. All right, next up, we got the guy who started this whole thingamajig. This is the Hobbit.
I regret that almost weekly that we started doing this thing. I am the Hobbit, normally the host of Geeks Under the Influence, but obviously being one that has not read the books, I've read a bunch of Stephen King. I just have not had the opportunity to dig into the Dark Tower series of books. I decided to, my normal right-hand man was a better choice to host this episode of Geeks Under the Influence. So thank you guys for listening to the previous ones, because he's obviously going to do a better job. You can find me on Twitter at Michael Bickett. And next to me is our host for this evening, the Sexual Chocolate, the Mulatto Magic, Mr. Lowdown Brown MacGyver.
What's up, guys? This is Lowdown. I need a second.
We'll sell you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
What's up, guys? I'm Lowdown Brown. I will be your host tonight. Just want to get some stuff out of the way. You can find all our social media on GUIPodcast.com. Brand new website. It's been revamped. It's fucking awesome. Go check it out. It kicks ass. I love it.
There's actually some new articles coming out this week on GUIPodcast.com, written by some of our panelists and friends of the show.
I've got one. I'm actually going to do an in-depth review on what we're talking about today on the Dark Tower movie. So look for that and some other articles.
And our social media.
Oh, yeah. And our social media, because, Facebook and all that stuff. We want you to like all that and follow us. Please. Do it. Join us.
Or die.
Or die.
Yeah.
Or die. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, go to GUI Podcast RVA on Twitter, and you'll find us there. And that's pretty much all our stuff. So on to the Dark Tower.
Woo.
Yes. I'd like to kind of start off with, how did you guys feel about the world that he created? Like, we've seen other authors create this massive, alternate reality, but still has some, it still equates to our actual current existence. But what do you think about what he did with that?
A world existed outside of the Dark Tower that was nothing but darkness, and it was the beams that held everything inside that together. And I feel like when you look at the Lord of the Rings universe or the Harry Potter universe, there's no end to it. There's nothing constantly encroaching on it, and I thought that was really unique, and I really appreciated that.
That's very true.
Yeah. I actually thought it felt a lot like, if anybody's read the Discworld series, which in Terry Pratchett, the whole Discworld series, there's an edge to their universe. It's actually on the back of a turtle being held up by 4 elephants. Yep. I know I'm not getting that exactly right, but there is an edge to the universe, and you can actually go off the edge of the universe.
So what you're saying is that Terry Pratchett was a flat earther.
The flat earther.
He could be. I wouldn't be terribly surprised.
No, he could have been.
Could have been.
Yeah.
And there is some connection with the turtle thing to the Dark Tower.
Yeah.
As I mentioned previously with H.P. Lovecraft, as far as like borders, like Dustin was saying, that are encroaching in, it's not that there was an end to the universe necessarily, but there was an end to human understanding of the universe in H.P. Lovecraft's little like series of books with Cthulhu and in the Mountains of Madness, everything that humankind was only able to understand such a small little blinders style like understanding of reality and what existed in it in the cosmos, and there was so much happening outside of it that encroached into our understanding. So there's a little bit of that in Stephen King, but Stephen King put like solid walls. He built a wall.
He built a wall. God damn it.
And he made the Men in Black pay for it.
Beat me to it.
Oh, well done, sir.
But yeah, I feel like there is a lot of influence. Stephen King definitely made it his own, but you can unbelievably, especially in like Jerusalem's Lot, I think, for example, had a lot of direct correlations to H.P. Lovecraft, and Stephen King's written very similar Lovecraftian style like stories before, so he kind of put his own tone to it. He made it a little bit more magical than Lovecraft ever did, but that made it his own. And on that, I can't say that he directly ripped off Lovecraft. It was just an inspiration.
Yes, yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, I like how he took. Obviously, he did take, a note from Tolkien with, Middle Earth, and then we get Midworld, which is basically like that large of a landscape, but it's like a spaghetti western happening in Middle Earth, set in a dystopian future. And I feel like that's what he created with the Dark Tower world.
Midworld just sounds like a world where it's just like you waiting for your laundry to dry at the laundromat. Like that's just like it's like purgatory. Like just like nothing else is happening.
Which is appropriate. It's kind of a funhouse mirror of our world and a reminder of what could potentially happen here if the tower falls or if some of these walls get a little thin and some of the really bad dudes like Pennywise are able to just come crashing through.
So is Midworld the world that the majority of the Talisman takes place in?
I would say it's a version. It is a version.
It's an iteration of it.
Yeah.
Okay, because they say basically the continents are like slightly smaller, like kilometer to mile kind of version of it, and there's like doppelgangers of every person on the different worlds and stuff. And I thought that was really cool that it actually ties into the Talisman as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Dark
Tower
ties into the Talisman, yeah. And but there is what's called the End World, which is where the Dark Tower is at. So there is an end to it. So you got Midworld, which is similar to a purgatory, then End World, where the apocalypse pretty much happens. So yeah. So Dustin said your first read into Stephen King was the Gunslinger. Now, and Eddie, that got you back in to Stephen King. Myke, what was your...
I did it dead last, actually. I began with the more sort of realistic Stephen King stuff as a child, things like Shawshank Redemption and The Body, and then later made my way through his works, and finally, I just actually, within the past 10 years or so, finished up with the Gunslinger series.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. I found the Gunslinger freshman year in my high school library. Believe it or not, Louisa had a decent fucking library, which beyond me, I didn't think fuckers read there. Seriously. But
no, that's why they had a decent library. Is people well-read people dropped off their books as they left.
Peace. Here you go. Have some culture.
It's
But
like dropping pamphlets on third world countries, or it's like, here you go, like you have some.
it's like they had Dark Tower 1 through 4, and I just brushed through those freshman year, and then obviously I had to wait to 2003 when he dropped the 5th book, which at that point I had read through the first 4 a second time, and then I read through them a third time so I could read all of them in continuity, because I waited till all 3 of those came out, so I didn't have to wait book for book for book for book. But yeah, it's been a part of my constant reading curriculum for a long time. You know, I don't get enough. I don't get enough of it. Especially the first 4.
My mother is actually who turned me on to Stephen King. She's been a longtime Stephen King reader my entire life. Like before I was born, she was into Stephen King, and she actually put off reading the Dark Tower series until they completed it. So that was never around in my house. That's how I started reading Stephen King, as the books were already in my house. And I started with, I think she introduced me with Eyes of the Dragon, which is a great introduction for a kid into Stephen King's world, because it comes from a kid's perspective. It's a great intro. But then I went and did all the other books and everything. But the Dark Tower series, after I moved out, is when she started reading the books, because they were kind of finishing up all the entire run of things. And I just never ended up picking up the books. And from all that I've heard the entire time, this is kind of probably going to be my favorite books that Stephen King has written from everything that I've read. And it makes me upset that I'm now, a 36-year-old man that has not read any of the Dark Tower series books. It's unfortunate.
Well, for me, I was living with a buddy of mine, and the last book had just come out, and he was so excited. He's like, "Dude, did you hear? The last book in the Dark Tower series is out." And I was like, "What's the Dark Tower series?" and he I thought he was going to hit me. It's like, you need to read this now. It was very, very forceful. So I had the advantage of being able to read them back to back to back to back, where he had been he had read a couple, and then there was the break, and then you had to wait so long, and then you got to read another one, and then you had to wait for them. And I think for me, there was a great continuity across them, because I got to read them very quickly.
Once I got to read them all in order, it just flows.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm excited about. I think that the problem will be Hobbit and I fighting over who gets to read them, or it's I will read a couple pages and then fall asleep, because I fall asleep significantly before he does, or we'll just get separate books. But I'd it very much, the excitement of it reminds me so much of the Harry Potter series, where people were waiting, and there were the people that waited until the very end and they got to read them all at the same time, where those people that are so anxious and start waiting, and they're waiting in lines for hours waiting for books to come out. So I'm actually happy, because being a huge Harry Potter fan and being a huge fucking Game of Thrones fan right now, that we're just constantly waiting for the next thing to come out, that I actually get to be the person this time that will be able to read it all the way through and not have to wait for the next one to get there.
And even if you do, the great thing about Stephen King is you have so many options. Say you get through the first 3 and you need a break because it's just a lot to digest. You can read Insomnia and learn about the red versus the white, or you can go to Salem's Lot and you get to learn about Callahan. There's an infinite number of ways that you can read through that series, and it's going to be a different experience for you each time.
Well, and I had read some Stephen King. Like I said, I had been turned off by him, and reading through the Dark Tower series, it referenced so many things that I hadn't read before that it made me go back and read other books, because
that's called fucking marketing.
No shit. But he did a great job with it, because he hooked me in, and son of a gun, he got me to go and read other Stephen King books because of the references
you say
in the Dark
son
Tower.
of a gun? This isn't PG-13.
Son of a gun! Gosh, chili.
Language.
Well, gee willikers?
Wait. Are we going to skip the fact that Captain just said language?
And that's the thing I think I need is I need a list of books that, because I've read some Stephen King, but I feel like I should read all of these other books too before going into the Dark Tower, just I could get these references, or...
No, I mean, because I didn't get a lot of the references when I read the first 4 books. I mean, I had read a lot of Stephen King beforehand, but I hadn't read it at that point. Mm-hmm. But it is a hard turn into the Dark Tower, and I caught that actually reading that after the Dark Tower, the first 4. I caught that in it. So if you read it and you don't know you don't know it's a reference. Like you won't know it's a reference.
Right.
But then you'll read another book and you'll be like, oh fuck, that was a reference. Like you'll catch it in the book that it referenced.
Hey, baby, have you read it?
Which
It.
oh yeah,
You know, clowns, Bickett.
Yeah,
Your favorite.
a long time ago, and
Oh, you're coming to see that movie with me. Like you're sitting right next to me.
I'll tell you,
I
I read
am
it.
so excited.
I read it because it was not a graphic novel. That's why I read that book.
Future birthday gift.
Oh, good. Yeah, super excited. Yeah, although they showed the new trailer before Dark Tower when we saw it, and first off, we went to see it at the. I don't know if you guys know this. The Alamo Drafthouse opened up a spot in Charlottesville like a month ago.
Nice.
And if you have not been to an Alamo Drafthouse, holy shit! It's not just going to see a movie like meeting up with friends and going to see a movie. You get there like an hour or two ahead of time. You go, you get a couple drinks at their bar. Their food is solid. It's all reasonable. Like it's all affordable stuff. You go in. They have a little table at every 2 seats with a little card and like light under the table so you can order from the menu drinks and food during the movie. And they bring it to you and they're like fucking ninjas.
Nice.
Like they're dressed in all black and they roll up and you just see like you put your card up and you see a hand come up and go zip, and just like it disappears into the night. And then a few minutes later, food and booze arrives. Like magic.
Yay.
So
Two of my favorite things.
Yes, food and booze.
So and they have adult milkshakes there. They have my mother
Like milkshakes with boobs.
with boobs. Yes,
Yes.
pornographic milkshakes. They have
5
there.
of them.
There's one called the Dark Tower.
There's
What do you think comes out of that one?
It's salty.
There's a 3 boob milkshake called the Total Recall, and it's delightful.
Yes, Mike.
Doesn't all that attention make it difficult for one of the sublime pleasures of movie going to take place? Smuggling in your own 40 ounce and your own box of like popcorn or whatever?
He's got a point there.
They have like a spaghetti
They'd catch you.
carbonara that you can eat while watching movie. Like that's not something I'm smuggling.
You can still bring in a
Good.
flask and just order a Coke.
That works.
You
Yeah.
know.
They have a cheeseburger called the Royale with cheese there.
What?
Yes,
True statement. I've done that.
Yes,
I would do
did
that all day.
Yeah.
Like I'd literally do it with my Dark Tower.
So I will say that no matter my feelings on the movie, the experience itself was absolutely fantastic. And we talked briefly with the Alamo Drafthouse people. Hopefully we're going to be talking to them about doing something with the podcast sometime in the near future.
Yes, please.
We'll see.
So what did you guys reading the first 4? Because obviously, well, you got to read it all the way through. And I guess by the time you got to it, you got to read it all the way through.
Yep.
And you actually, all of you got to read it all the way
Yeah.
through. So there was no stop for you. But you did see clearly that there was definitely a break between books 4 and 5.
Yes.
So books 1 through 4, what are your feelings on how that was written and how the story flow between 5? Well, technically through 8, but it's really 4.5. Went through the keyhole is actually set 4.5, but book 8. You know, what do you think about books 1 through 4? How his journey began? Like the Gunslinger was more like it really didn't start till Drawing of the Three. The Gunslinger was a lot of exposition.
Yes.
You know.
It was the Gunslinger itself felt to me like it was a lot of world building.
Yes.
There was a lot of that setting and getting to know the characters, getting to know the place, getting to know what to be expected. It wasn't the most quick read. Some of the later books, I felt like I tore through them really, really fast. The Gunslinger was drug a little bit more for me than some of the other books, but it gave us a great base to build that rest of that universe on. So, yeah, I enjoyed the first 4. I actually liked, and this is gonna be bad. The book where we go back and learn about
Wizard and Glass. That's a great book.
Wizard and Glass
Fucking awesome.
is honestly one of my favorite. It's probably, if it's not my favorite, it's like my second favorite in the series because it gave us this really good, and we'll get to this in the movie. I think it's one of the things that we were missing in the movie, but it gave us a really solid understanding of who Roland was. What were his motivations? Why was he the way that he was? And we don't get to do that with a lot of stories, to really dissect the character.
And not only that, but it actually gave us the true meaning of the war between Roland and Walter. Like, we understand at that point why and how long this has been going on, which it's a century-old war between these two. And, like, Wizard and Glass, you know, it solidifies that. Because before that, you don't know that. You just know, hey, these two have been, something's going on, they don't like each other, one's evil, one's good, but then you actually understand what had happened, you know?
Understand. Like
We see what you did there.
see, because there's a book.
I guess
by
we can
Stephen-
spoil the book, right? No?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, basically, Walter tricks Roland into shooting his own mother.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Bad stuff right there. Because he was actually the magician of the House of Eld, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what you're saying
court
is
magician.
he forgot the face of his mother.
Oh, God
Is
damn.
that not?
That's
is
pretty
that-
much, that's true, though.
that's
Yes, he
pretty
forgot.
much- okay.
Because, yeah,
All right. All right.
fucking Walter,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Mike.
I did. I really liked the first 4 books because there's that initial meetup in the Bone Pit where they throw the cards out, which was really cool for me to like watch Walter prophesize Roland's journey, and then I don't think they meet up again until they get to the Emerald Castle, and it's just like magician.
Why is there not a Richmond gay club called the Bone Pit? Like,
Oh, my God. that would be Richmond, though,
just
right?
Stephen King themed like gay club called the Bone Pit. That'd be amazing. Get on again. That's this like golden ideas from GUI, just being spread out. There are two gay clubs that need to be started. There's the gay club on the corner of Knuckles and Cox,
Yes.
called Knuckles and Cox.
Yep.
and now the Bone Pit. We got this down.
Oh.
I think it should be called Cox to Knuckles.
Cox to Knuckles.
Or Knuckles to Cox.
Knuckles to Cox. Knuckles to Cox would be better, yeah.
As long as they have a signature dance called the 5 Knuckle Shuffle, then
Yes.
that's all you need.
I would
I
say
think that it's just 5 dudes
just like Knuckle Shuffle.
doing this.
Do that again. You were doing that really well.
Please.
This one,
Please twist.
That one.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
me
that.
when
I
it's
like that.
over.
Yeah, all right. One of the things I did enjoy about the Gunslinger was it did show you what Roland was right off the bat. Like when he sacrificed a little kid to the slow mutants. Like, nope, sorry, bro, dropping you. I gotta go. Peace, And then it pretty much, and after the Bone Pit, it pretty much is where it ended. He sits on the beach and that's it. So it is a slow read. I do agree it's a slow read for only being like 220 pages. You think it'd be the quickest out of all of them? Right. Fuck, man. But honestly, yeah, I feel like going through Drawing of the Three and the Wastelands. The Wizarding Glass did take me a while because it's so full.
Yes.
Like, I did reread
meaty.
a couple pages.
But again, like that, I feel like that's how most first books are. They're introducing all the characters, so it's definitely a slower read a lot of times because they have to have that character development in order to make those other books. If they're planning on a series of books, they want to make sure that the character development is enough to want to sustain your attention to carry on into the other books.
Yeah, one of the things that's remarkable about Stephen King is he's grown and evolved as a writer over the years. It's not like James Patterson, where like every book is exactly the same every time you pick it up.
Is James Patterson where there's no time? Like that's just like every book. That
Pretty much. I've read a fair share. That's
Basically,
pretty much how it works.
So anyhow, Stephen King, like it's notable, and you can tell and trace the ebb and flow of his writing career and his strengths and weaknesses as a writer and what he works on throughout the series. So that's why Gunslinger, I think it's the one where he went to the unprecedented step of like rewriting it later and releasing a tighter, neater version of it for future readers to go through and look at.
The special edition.
Yeah, and that he said I was a young writer. I had a lot of flaws when I made this thing, and I'm going to fix a lot of them and put the book back out. And unlike some of these remixes that you get later, it wasn't horrible. I think he made a lot of good choices with that.
You did.
You mean like the same way that George Lucas fixed Star Wars?
Oh, no. No.
No, it doesn't. He didn't add in unnecessary scenes with monsters and ice caves. Or anything.
The Man in Black shot first.
But yeah, I have purchased that copy and reread it, and I mean, as much as I did love the original Gunslinger, like, cause he wrote that in the 70s, man. He was right out of college when he wrote that. I do see how he corrected that, and it did make it it fixed continuity issues later on in the series as well. Mm-hmm. So because when he added himself to the book, it kind of threw. Yeah. Anyway,
we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that too. But I get what you're saying about the first book introducing you to the characters. It really just introduced you to that version of Jake, because Jake shows up later, even though he got killed in the first book. Roland and the Man in Black. The rest of the characters, they further the development for other characters in the Drawing of the Three when he gets the rest of his quartet, which is what they call the group. It's called a quartet. And you really see how they're taking care of him, because, I mean, they have no idea where they're getting pulled into, and he's, like, half dying, and they're like, I don't know where I'm at, but you're dying. You pulled me into this shit. Fucking get better.
So, as somebody that hasn't read the books, and again, I'm drawing from, like, Game of Thrones books and how those are kind of written compared to the series, a lot of the books, they don't follow all the characters that are in there. And they'll talk about a few of the characters per book, and then the next book they won't talk about those characters that were in the previous book. So, but it's all pretty much like you follow the same characters.
Once they're introduced, you're with them the entire time, except for, and The Wizard in Glass is actually them taking a break and Roland telling them a story of his childhood, so they understand. Because he's actually explaining Walter and the Man in Black and his one love Susan and how his younger life basically turned him into the man he is now. But it's still them. They literally had to take a break so he could tell the story. So, but the entire series is, after drawing of the three, it's those characters all the way through. Even a Billy Bumbler.
Yes.
Oi!
I loved that.
Oi's so great.
I loved Oi. I really enjoyed Wizard in Glass mostly because, and you guys too, reading them straight through, having gotten through The Wasteland, that book was daunting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it made me uncomfortable. And Stephen King does that really, really well. It made me uncomfortable. The train, all of it, I was like...
I had that same feeling with it, feeling uncomfortable.
It was...
Like
well, I'm very claustrophobic as a person, and that book felt claustrophobic. It felt tight. It felt uncomfortable. It felt like you didn't know if they were going to get through it. And then at the end of it, when you read the next book and it's like, okay, I'm going to tell you a story and this is going to be this, you kind of like caught your breath.
Yeah.
In the middle of this really, really daunting series, it gave you a chance to just go, and then get back into the series again.
And I actually loved The Wastelands. I thought
yes.
a lot of people criticize Stephen King for not knowing how to finish a book, and for him to finish on the cliffhanger that The Wastelands finished on, I thought was great. You're totally right about it being close quarters.
Yeah.
It's like D-Day on Saving Private Ryan. Like, you watch that and you're like, oh shit, I don't know. This is not going to be good for anybody. From Gasher to all
TikTok
the
Man,
the TikTok
to,
Man. Like, a lot of stuff happened in that book, and that was a fun read.
I mean, agreed. Like, Wastelands is my favorite, and actually my second would be Wizard in Glass. And I think it's strictly because of how that flowed. You know, like even the Wastelands at the beginning, when they're like they're taking a break from drawing of the three, and then like this giant bear with like a satellite coming out of its head attacks him. Like, holy! It starts off with him getting fucked up.
Yes.
Like,
Now, something that was mentioned by my mommy, who we went and saw The Dark Tower with.
Not his mom.
his mommy.
His mummy.
Well, if I tried to downplay that we went and saw it with my mom, then
Are you my mummy?
then I'm open to ridicule. I'm just opening it up right away. Like, my mama took us to see Dark Tower, and she mentioned that there wasn't a whole lot in the movie that developed the relationship between Roland and the Man in Black. They had a much deeper relationship in the books, and that's something that I'm actually interested in getting more insight on. Is how they interacted in the books, like why they have this kind of deep personal relationship in the Dark Tower movie.
Well, and that was always the thing. One of the things that I disliked about the movie, and when we talk about the movie, we can get into this, but there was this, I hate him, I'm going to destroy him, I'm going to whatever. There wasn't a whole, I mean, yeah, he kills his dad, okay, great. But there wasn't a lot of that reasoning. I mean, I get it. I'm not disregarding that, but when you read it in the books, it is, he systematically destroys this man's world.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is not just like, oh, we fought each other and now we're enemies. It was like, dude, he destroyed him at a soul-crushing level. And so but at the same time, they were equals, and there was this relationship there where they almost didn't want to kill each. It was almost like the Batman and Joker.
It's exactly like that.
Almost like the Batman and Joker. Like, they needed each other to move forward and to have that there was a relationship there.
Yes,
you know,
and you're right. You didn't get any of that. I didn't get any of that in the movie. Like one of the monologues I picked for later on is actually because when they go in the bone pit, like that scene couldn't have happened in the way they portrayed the movie. Like you couldn't have Roland and the Man in Black sit down and have a fucking conversation about the universe and why we are in the Dark Tower in that movie. But there's a monologue here where literally Man in Black is explaining to him the vastness of the universe, and that's fucking awesome.
And they kind of hint at it, like how he has destroyed his life, but they did not go into, and that's the thing is like, it's with fucking like Suicide Squad where there wasn't enough character development, and then they bring in this whole fucking story. But it's one of those things where it's like there's all of this back element that is there that you are trying to understand, especially as someone that hasn't read the books, where they know, and again, like it was a sequel to the books. Mm-hmm. But as a person that hasn't read the books, that watched the movie, that was my biggest thing, is that there was not enough character development and that they hinted at stuff, but it wasn't enough for me to care about these characters enough in the movie.
Yeah.
There was a line that kind of referenced all the stuff that happened between them earlier where Matthew McConaughey, Man in Black, who, by the way, I love that line, is his name's Walter? We're just like, really? Like, Walter? That's where you're going? Okay, cool. But he was like, oh, yeah, I systematically hunted down and killed everyone that he cared about. And some, like, non-important person that he said it to, even the look on their face was like, really? And you thought that was a good idea? Like, the one person that's resistant to your magics and stuff, you're just like, oh, I'm going to murder everyone you care about. That's a great idea? Was the look that the actor had on their face when Matthew McConaughey is like, oh yeah, I definitely like alienated him to the point where the only thing that he has left in his heart is vengeance to kill me. So it's probably fine. Is how he said it.
all right.
Oh,
that's what I love about gunslingers, man.
I get older.
They say the same age.
oh.
But even the guy who's telling it to is just like, really? Like, that's not smart, man. The Men in Black is supposed to be this incredibly, like, intelligent, like, charismatic, like, unbelievably powerful human being that, like, the one guy that can probably just murder the shit out of you if there's the right circumstances, you're going to alienate him by just murdering everybody that he cares about. That's not the smartest move.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on it, because the book Man in Black is a very, very different animal. He's incredibly arrogant and also full of rage, and even though he can command these armies and shift through time, he has a lot to prove to a lot of people, and he's willing to play with fire, and he's willing to get burned, and it bites him in the ass more than once, especially in The Stand.
But that's the thing with those types of characters, though. In any movie or any book, you have those characters that think that they are strong enough, that you think that they think that they're invulnerable, like, to anything. And then, you know, and they go towards a person's weakness, and that works to a certain extent. But then always, it's usually that they're so cocky against that's what ends up fucking them over in the end.
Trump. Steven.
No shit. God damn it. I'm going to start calling him Walter.
Yeah.
Fuck. Seriously.
Call him Randall Flagg.
Yeah. Hey, Flagg. President Flagg.
President Flagg.
He wants to bring out the apocalypse. That's what Flagg did.
Yeah.
He wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you brought a good point. Like, in the movie, the movie version of Walter, he just wanted to destroy everything in Roland's life to make him full of hate. In the books, he makes Roland destroy everything he loves in his life. He manipulates and tricks Roland into making decisions where he takes everything away from himself. And that is what Eddie was saying. He crushes his soul on the deepest fucking level. It is so dark.
And that is a far scarier villain.
No shit.
Yeah.
That is a far more devastating, that is a far more, that has far more depth than somebody who does something to you.
Exactly.
It's more scary than a Matthew McConaughey that looks like he's going to hit on, like, divorcees in Key West. The unbuttoned shirt with, like, there's, like, and he had rings. Like, he looked like the playboy that just lives in, like, a studio apartment in fucking Key West, like, just getting money from, like, the slightly chubby, like, divorcees that got their husband's money. It just, yeah.
I think I wanted him to be more like, I mean, even though he was that person you could clearly see didn't give a shit, I wanted his personality to be a little bit more like Kilgrave from Jessica Jones. Like, he needed that, he didn't have that darkness that I needed to see. Like, he had that don't give a shit kind of personality, but he didn't have that, like, darkness and meanness that Kilgrave had. And I don't know if I saw that more because it was David Tennant and I loved him as the Doctor, so you're like, oh my god, this is an awful person, that shouldn't be him. But I did not see that in Matthew McConaughey like I did in David Tennant from Jessica Jones. And I think that's the type of person that I needed for this movie in order to make that character real for me.
And I've got to say, like, when they casted it, I'm like, oh, he's perfect. Who else would they get? God damn it. Fucking David Tennant. You give him that fucking script to go with, like, and with how dark he was in Jessica Jones, he actually fits physically, because in the books they describe Walter as being meek. Like, his personality did not go with his looks. Matthew McConaughey tried to make the looks match the personality. So he would have been perfect. Fuck, man.
I got a better choice.
No.
If you
say it, I will fucking kill you.
There are two that you could say right now, and I will fucking come over this table. Do not do it.
Oh, that would have been.
Do you want to have sex ever again?
No, that's not even.
Roll the dice.
I was not even going to say that. That was.
It's not the J word.
No, it's not the J
That would
word.
have been so great. Can you imagine Jay Barish?
No.
Oh.
This is not actually a joke. Like, I genuinely believe this would be a great casting. Is the villain from Inglourious Bastards?
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz.
Yes, he dialogue.
Well, if you look at how he played his character in Inglourious Bastards, where he was kind of very charismatic and he was well spoken and he was confident and he was subtle with his moves. He wasn't like super like quick paced about anything. He was confident enough to be very casual in his behavior. That kind of reads a little bit more as what I'm hearing Walter being in the Dark Tower books than how Matthew McConaughey handled it.
Yeah. That is very true, and his dialogue would have done the way he talks would have done really well in that instance.
I don't think he has like the smoothness though. Like he doesn't. He's like.
Did you see him in Green Hornet? Because he was suave as fuck. Like he had the unbuttoned shirt with the suit jacket, and he like fucked.
Thank you.
He fucked up the dude from Knocked Up. I'm just saying.
Dude,
I think you needed somebody that was older. Walter is like the ageless wanderer. You know, he's a magician that's been around for literally hundreds of years. And to have somebody be that malevolent and evil, you got to have somebody playing that role that's as equally as older-ish. You know?
Well, and the same thing, you should have technically someone older playing Roland because they're the same age. Essentially, they've been around for the same amount of years.
I just don't think that he, what's his name from Inglourious Bastards? Christoph.
Yeah.
I don't think he could be as like suave as the character needed to be. He needed to be very forceful, but also like under the radar. And I don't think that actor has that type of personality.
So he needs to be like Pacino and Devil's Advocate. They don't see me coming.
What you're looking for is
Stop
Peter
it.
Cushing.
Oh,
yeah,
I could see that, man.
And we all know that we can flawlessly reproduce
no,
him. And,
not even a little bit.
Right?
Nope, not even a little bit. Nope.
That's a good call.
But he would have been great. That style of delivery, that nonchalant, I don't give a shit if I'm destroying your world feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's really what the character felt like to me in the books.
That's a really good call.
There really is.
Yeah, just to flip the script on it, I would have picked Idris Elba from The Wire as Stringer Bell to play that personality because it's a very similar personality. This intelligent, suave, manipulative exterior and a bottomless well of cruelty and meanness underneath.
That was Stringer Bell. That was Stringer Bell,
Then
yeah.
who do you get as the gunslinger?
Matthew McConaughey.
Just stop it.
Just go all true detective on everybody.
No, I was thinking No Country for Old Men, Josh Brolin.
Ooh, yeah.
As a gunslinger.
I
could
see
totally see that.
He's too busy with everything, though, man.
Oh, no, he's going to be fucking Cable.
Timothy Olyphant.
And also...
love fucking Justified. You just love Justified.
He's
so
a
much that
gunslinger.
It's true.
Jay Baruchel, Timothy Olyphant. That's
Look,
all, the whole relationship
The two worst walks in TV and movies is Timothy Olyphant. The way he walks is fucking stupid.
He walks retarded, dude. He does walk like a Riri.
And then you've also got Jax Teller from Sons of Anarchy with his fucking bullshit thug saunter that he
like
does.
He's got a bad fart that he's trying to get rid of.
Maybe he is. Maybe he does.
That's all that.
It's more like he sharded and he's trying to peel the underwear off of his ass cheeks as he's walking.
When his walk in Green Street Hooligans.
Yeah.
The worst. Oh my god.
Not as bad as like there's one moment in Pacific Rim where he totally pulls the like fucking like this is not the time, man. You're in future pants.
And that's the title of the episode.
You're in future pants.
You're in future pants.
It's not the time.
The Jax Teller bop, though, looks like Baryshnikov compared to Vince and Shane McMahon walking into the ring.
Oh, that is true. Oh.
Nothing like a sleeveless suit.
Oh, my God.
We have digressed. Seriously.
All right, yeah, hard turn. So we've delved a lot into the first four. Now we can kind of go into the last ones. What do you, the rating kind of, the car accident, man. That's all I got to say. The fucking car accident, man. Getting hit by a car really fucked him. I mean, I enjoyed finishing the series. Like, they are good books, but there's something missing in them that like we found in Drawing of the Three and the Wastelands and Wizard and Glass.
I really enjoyed those books. I really enjoyed the last set of them. What is it? The
Wills of Kala
yeah,
and
Song of
Susanna.
Yes. Now, of the last set, the Song of Susanna was my favorite. I thought that we got to see more of that character in the same way that we got to see more of Rollin in the Wizard and Glass.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Odetta is really truly like one of my very favorite characters in the whole series.
She's so complex.
And it's so it had to have been so hard to write.
Right?
To write that character and do it well and to give her the voice that she needed to have as both people had to be really, really difficult to write. And I think that he did a really great job with that book.
And creating the backstory for her to have those, like to have that personality for both. Like, there was a backstory that had to be created for that,
yes.
and for each one to come out and shine in their own way.
Yes.
And
the redemption of Odetta.
Yes.
There was a redemption. I mean, I hated her. In the Drawing of the Three and all of that, every time she would show up, I hated that character. You know what I mean? Like it was on purpose. Mm-hmm. He did such a great job of making you dislike this person that when we got that redemption in that book, it was a good warm feeling. Like it made me really like that person again.
Kind of a warm fuzzy feeling like I'm feeling right now talking about the Dark Tower. Woo!
Yeah.
Feel great. But unfortunately, we need to take our little break. And when we come back, we'll get more into the rest of the books and then touch on a few other things and then, obviously, the movie and spoilers. Yeah. So
spoilers.
And Drunken Scene.
And Drunken Scene. Drunken Scene.
All right.
Woo! Yeah. A little different this time, guys. A little different.
It's going to be fun.
That's going to be great.
All right.
Stick around. This is Myke the Hobbit, direct from Fallout on a trivia night, telling you to come here every first and third Monday for trivia between 8 and 10, 25-cent wings, drink specials, prizes, and tons of really inappropriate trivia. It's a lot of fun. Do you guys agree? Definitely come out and enjoy trivia every first and third Monday at Fallout. In addition to Fallout, Geeks Under the Influence takes over Wonderland on the corner of 18th and Main Street for Geeks Under the Influence trivia, ridiculous trivia, goofy music, great food, cheap drinks. 1727 East Main. Come and check us out 8 to 10 every second and fourth Tuesday.
All right, we are back for the second half of Geeks Under the Influence, number 114, The Dark Tower. And as you know... Yeah, I mean, it's the fucking Dark Tower. I think we have the 2 non-readers sold on reading this shit right now.
Oh, very much so.
Oh, we talked on the break, and that's happening.
That's my goal. Just I want people to know the glory of the Dark Tower. Yeah. Seriously.
If you're listening to this and you haven't read them,
yes,
go read them.
Go read them. If you're a reader, go fucking read it. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't.
If you're not a reader, go read it.
Well, if you're not a reader, you probably don't.
I'm sure there's audiobooks.
Yeah.
There are audiobooks. Yes, there are audiobooks.
Just make sure that you go through amzn.to, and there's an Audible choice through amzn.to that we still get credit for. So, just saying.
I was going to say, and before we get too heavy into the second half, I do want to talk about our sponsors. First and foremost, the oldest, the OG, amazon.com.
OG.
Basically, you go through GUI Podcast, go to the links, go through affiliate links, go through amazon.com, and bookmark that page, and clear your cache, bookmark the page, and then just start shopping through Amazon. You don't spend any more money. You just buy shit, and we get little kickback.
And also, we have it super easy. On the top right corner of the homepage of GUIPodcast.com, there is a link to Amazon. So
it's gotten that quick. It's gotten that easy now.
It's right at the top right corner.
There you go.
Yeah. So
it's that simple. You buy stuff off Amazon. I know I do. I buy a shitload off Amazon. All you gotta do is go through a specific link, and it's the same as usual. If
the homepage of GUI Podcast was a test that you were doing in elementary school, where you would write your name is where the Amazon link is. That's just right there.
Fantastic description.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well done.
It really is. And then the newest one we've got, which I was very, very excited to hear about when that happened, is Loot Crate. You guys know it. You guys should love it. If not, you need to get on the train because Loot Crate is fucking awesome.
This last month was incredible.
Right? Animation was this last month. We had Futurama, Bob's Burgers. We had fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then we had Future. And then we had, what was the last one? Oh, Rick and Morty.
Rick
Fucking
and
Rick and Morty.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with
That
Fucking Rick and Morty.
It's Rick and Morty with like alien antennas, and he's given full middle finger.
It says
like,
the episode that it's from on the box, and I
Yeah.
can't fucking remember it now, but it's hilarious. I love it. It says censored on the box, too, in case kids open the box.
And if you have enough geek merchandise for yourself, you can also get geek merchandise for your pets. They
Loot
have
pet.
loot pets. And
That
it's
is very
amazing.
true. Loot pets. That's great. Yes, that is an amazing thing to think
You
about.
can get like Deadpool dog collars and shit.
Nerd out your fucking animal,
Yeah.
right?
There's like an Iron Man tug toy that you can get
Yeah.
right now.
This month's regular loot crate, though, is Kingdom, which has Lord of the Rings, Zelda, and what was the last
Adventure
one?
Time.
Adventure Time. Yes, so I'm looking forward to that one, mainly for
I'm
Lord of
just
the Rings and
hoping
Zelda.
It's just bacon pancakes, like actual bacon pancakes, like
stacked in there,
Stacked
in,
in
like, a little
there.
sealed container,
in the container, like ready to go.
microwavable pouch.
And then, unfortunately, they like packed the boxes like early in the month, so they're just like horrifyingly moldy and disgusting.
Aw. But when you go to Loot Crate, use the code SAVE3. That's SAVE, the number 3, and you'll save some money on your first box or on your membership. So,
But make sure you go through the link through our links page at GUIpodcast.com.
all this stuff is at the website. It's literally it's the mecca of everything for GUI.
By the way, you're already going there for all our articles and links to all of our episodes and stuff. So while you're there, make us some money. Join Loot Crate. Join Amazon. Whatever. Have a party.
Because you've clearly already bookmarked the page.
Have a
Clearly.
browser party. Have a browser party.
Have a browser party.
Just stop looking at porn for 5 minutes.
No. You can have that in a separate tab. I'm not even saying stop
Don't
porn.
stop.
If you have multiple monitors, put the porn on one screen. Look at your Avengers parody porn while you're shopping through the link at GUI Podcast.
Just while you're
I do.
on GUIpodcast.com and looking at your Avengers porn, please don't actually go to the panelist page because I don't know how I feel about you jerking off to my picture. Just saying.
I'm actually fine with it.
I know you're okay with
Yeah,
it, okay?
it's fine.
I
I'm
get
fine
that you're
with you
fine with
jerking
it.
off to his picture.
And he does.
Anyway, Jesus Christ. All right. So that's that. Now we will go on to what we are drinking.
All right, that cannot happen without the theme music.
That is right.
Hey, we're fucking drinking. We're getting drunk. You want to know? Well, here you go. Hey.
Hey.
Haze, just
Extra
Brandon
hay.
says.
Oh, that is our lovely Kyle Smash.
Kyle Smash, unfortunately, was not able to make it tonight. He was
No.
one of the original panelists on this episode, but had some car trouble that he's going to be able to fix this evening. But if he was dashing out to drink with his friends and talk about Dark Tower and not fix the car, his wife would, murder him. So
As
Pretty
well
much.
She should.
yeah,
Right?
no, that's fair.
It's very fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's dealing with the important adult things instead. So fortunately, we get the female.
We get Katie
perspective.
Turbo. Yes. It's
Yeah.
awesome. She always has very good opinions. Well, for the most part.
She
We
definitely
have disagreed on some things.
She definitely has opinions.
But that's a good thing.
That is a very good thing. Conversation.
Conversation.
So we have 2 shares tonight, I believe. Katie, do you want to talk about yours? Yours is actually very, locale and everything that you found.
Well, no, let's
They
go.
all have yours in their glass.
let's-
so.
Oh, okay.
Let's
Yeah.
put some lowdown in our mouths first.
I love it when they say that.
I love,
All right, well, then we're
yeah,
talking
I love
about
a
mine.
little low down in my mouth.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah,
Swirl
buddy.
it around a little
Slow
bit.
pitch.
Yeah, you heard that. That's right. My Dark Tower, baby. Oh.
Boss Skaggs wrote a
Good
song.
luck ever getting a hard on again.
Yeah, that,
I'm going to shoot my beam.
it's weird when she said that. My left arm started feeling kind of like weird.
Numb, weird.
So we've had this before on the episode, but it's delicious. It's Hardywood's Peach Triple. Hardywood is East Coast local, right down the street. We drink a lot of their beers. It is their Abbey style triple ale, re-fermented on peaches. It's fucking delicious. I love it.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's tasty.
What's the APV in this?
It is only a cup check. It is 8.2. It is not a dick kicker. 8.2 cup checker.
That's right.
Easy.
That is the new pre-dick kicker is cup check.
Under 10 is a cup checker.
Yeah.
It's aged in a wine barrel, though, isn't it?
No, that's the cuvee. That's the cuvee.
Now it's under 7 is the Dick Grazer, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
under
okay.
7 is the Dick
All right.
Grazer.
Yeah,
It
we
can
were
be equally as enjoyable sometimes. Sometimes you're not looking for more than a little graze.
Yeah, just like, oh, that's all I needed. Name might be better.
That's nice. That is hammock beer. Right
Yes,
here.
it's very, very
like if you're
good.
hanging out in a hammock on a slightly warm day, this is the way to go.
Oh my god! I'm sorry. I've already drank the peach triple. I'm on to what Katie Turbo brought to share, and holy mother of fucking god, it's delicious.
Yeah, it is.
Mm,
All right.
yeah. Let's talk about
Let
that.
her finish putting Lowdown in her mouth.
Yeah, she's chugging it too. Look at that. She can't get enough of that.
Take the low down like a champ.
Oh.
Aw.
Oh, comatose of the Hobbit. It's so sad. The betrayal.
You can have some low down too.
You have Lowdown. Why do you feel left out? Is that what happened? Is that what's
That's
wrong?
the thing. The betrayal is not from her; it's from him.
Oh. Of course, the guy's the one that's the asshole. That's how it always works.
Is it my turn?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
All right.
Turbo.
Well, let me pour it in my glass.
Yeah, let's rinse your mouth out a little bit.
From the Lowdown, I know. Let me swirl it around a little bit to get that taste out of
Oh.
it.
Can I leave? Is that appropriate?
Can I?
All right, so I am sharing a cider from one of my new favorite cideries. Hobbit and Edweird and I and his wonderful woman, Cassidy, just took a trip up to Pittsburgh. So I think Myke would consider it East Coast local, maybe?
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
technically East Coast
Technically.
local.
It's a wonderful cidery in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And this is...
It's Arsenal.
Arsenal
cider.
is the cidery that it comes from, which they also sometimes have wine. They didn't have wine when we were there, but they sometimes do. This is the Fighting Elk. And what I loved about this cidery is actually the draft pulls are revolvers that they pull it from.
What?
It is amazing. And my favorite is whoever tabs it's on. Like if you get a growler, they actually put Captain and then your last name on it.
That's just fun.
So
Also,
yeah, I feel special.
In the back hangout outside area, they have the Arsenal sign, and underneath it is a Union soldier skeleton, like a skeleton in Union soldier clothes, with a fucking bayonet rifle laying at his side underneath the Arsenal sign, which is
That's pretty
So they
badass.
put your last name and Captain on there. I'm saying if I went there, I would tell them my last name was N.to. Neil. That would be something I'd have to hold on to.
But this wasn't the only cider we loved from there. We actually got a bourbon barrel cider from there, and it was called Bootleggers. And then they had another one that we really liked, but we could only afford to. So we got those
we were
two.
on a trip.
We were on a trip.
There was a budget. It's a trip.
Yeah. But they are killer. There was a cute, adorable girl there with a British accent that I absolutely loved. So
She was
shout out.
amazing.
She was amazing. Like she really helped out. Like they don't do flights there. And so they say you can only have 3 tastes, but she was totally willing to give us anything that we wanted.
Let's not get her fired.
No.
Well, no, we
I
shared
spoke up for
tastes,
her.
So we had 6 tastes
Yeah.
between 2 of us. So yeah, so it worked
And even
out.
when we went
Lovely
back
young lady.
inside, like she was willing to give us more tastes.
of her sweet sass and her wonderful personality.
So, it is delicious. That is very fucking good. It's solid cider, and it's just tart, not over sweet. Like it's almost like it's Granny Smith apple. I'm biting into. It's
That's the
fucking
thing.
delicious.
It's got a little bit of tartness, but it's not overplayed. There's a little bit of sweetness, but it's not overplayed. The balance on this is absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
The crisp. It's crisp. It's a perfectly crisp cider.
It's very similar to the Bold Rock.
Yeah.
Apple,
And
but I think
yeah.
I like it a little bit better actually.
I don't have the ABV on this, but I don't think it was that bad. I think
No,
it
it
was
was like
somewhere
maybe
around
5
like
or 6.
5 or 6. Yeah.
Sweet, nice. Edward,
Excellent.
you're drinking something new.
I am. This is new to me.
Yeah.
This is the local species. It's a Blue Mountain, which is right up the road.
East Coast logo.
Yep. And it is described on the bottle as a Belgian-inspired, barrel-aged, American-hopped, experimental sort of ale.
And it's
It's really good.
Yes.
I was very much impressed with this. It was it is a 6.6, but it doesn't. It tasted like just your regular 4.5 or 5.
It's sessionable.
It is sessionable, absolutely. It's not even a dick grazer. It's a really, really tasty. It went down really easy.
It's a dick like massager. like it massages.
And who
the
doesn't
dick.
love a dick massage?
I mean,
I'm saying,
but
There's so many "that's what she said" jokes in this. I can't stand it.
no, it's excellent. I killed the bottle way too easily.
Yeah.
And it is very good. If you get a chance, check it out. The local species from Blue Mountain Barrel House. Very, very nice.
nice.
Mike, you got something special too.
Yes, I brought a Chang beer. Since we're doing a show about the Dark Tower, a world of chaos, I figured what better than a beer from a place with no government regulation and very little quality control and oversight.
Yes.
Well done, sir.
That is a nice way to make it thematic, and I
Yes,
approve.
very much
thoroughly.
so. And it's tasty. I had a sip.
It
It's
is.
like a
And a
better
little
Rolling
passive.
Rock. Yeah, it's really well.
So yeah, apparently the ABV might change depending on the batch that you
Exactly. It depends on which one you get, and it's always a gamble. Sometimes it's a gentle 2% that you can just drink like water. Other times it's like 11%, and you get a dreaded Chang-over.
get. A hangover. Nice.
So where is this alcohol provided in Richmond?
You can find these at Wegmans, specialty beer stores, and Thai restaurants. The Thai people drink this like water. In fact, that even is one of their official brands of water over there.
Because it might be water at that point.
Yep.
Hey, that's,
You
okay.
never
You
know.
never know what you're
or
gonna get.
like fire water.
I'll tell you when I stand up.
Yeah, right.
Dustin, what do you got?
Well, I'm here to talk about something special, and it's not the beer; it's what goes in the beer. And I'm drinking Corona, and if you're not putting 2 limes in your Corona, you're just not doing yourself a service.
Because anything that makes Corona taste less like Corona is probably a good
It
thing.
is
a
a
good
good
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
It's
It
the
is.
embodiment of summer with 2 limes.
Corona,
I
the
stress the 2 limes.
the Bud Light of Mexico.
No, hold on. The 2 limes, guys. Seriously though, 2 limes.
It and the limes made it over the wall. Just give it a chance. Just give it a chance, guys. 2 limes. That's all.
I think honestly, Trump
That was
doesn't have
good.
a problem with the illegals. He has a problem with Corona.
And the limes, the fucking limes, man. Get them out of here.
Those are the avocados.
You're gonna put an
man.
extra lime in there. It's gonna be great. Believe me.
Truly.
I've been to
It'll
Mexico
be huge.
like a number of times, and no one that lives in Mexico drinks Corona. Nobody does.
believe that.
They have that there for
The tourists.
Americans that come
It's
into.
kind of like Foster's in Australia.
yeah, nobody,
in
in
Australia drinks Foster's.
No.
Yeah, that's
Foster's doesn't mean beer in Australian. It means sucker.
Yeah, it means like look at these fucking Americans that are like, ooh, it's a big can. I need it. Like that's.
It's like the scene in High
I do love a
Fidelity
big
where
can.
it's like, guess how many people I can make to buy this album.
Yeah. Basically,
And
yeah, that's the Corona effect as well.
2 limes.
2 limes. It must be good. He's stressing the 2 lime thing.
Dustin. By the way, your name is now Dustin Two Limes.
I'll take that.
Yes.
Sold.
There you go.
That's far better than
Dustin Cuervo?
Dustin Cuervo. Yeah,
I'm not
no,
drinking
no,
Cuervo,
no.
so it's appropriate.
Dustin Two Limes.
That's actually kind of bad because Dustin Two Limes sounds like the like white guy that got accepted into MS-13. like he's,
Yes,
I was a walk-on for Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Oh no, don't fuck with
It's
Two
Two
Limes.
Limes,
Yeah,
man.
don't. Yeah.
You bad
I was
motherfucker,
gonna
yo.
go with like Tommy 2 Times from the Goodfellas, where he said things twice, like, and at least keep it ethnic somewhat. Like no, you got to go
We went all the
Vato.
way. We
Yeah, you went
went all the
Vato with it.
The bargain basement version of 2 Chains.
2 limes.
I think 2 Chainz is
that's-
already bargain basement.
he is. He's pretty low rent.
He's
He's a low rent bitch. So Hobbit, you are.
Oh, I'm not talking about my high life.
Oh.
We can move on.
Oh,
Talk about the special, though.
Then also,
Ooh, there's that.
yeah.
Oh God, Lord.
I haven't had any of that.
Oh,
I'm just saying. What I'm drinking.
I'll save it for you.
I'm gonna be quick. I'm drinking some more Blue Mountain. It's their Kolsch 151. It's a Kolsch style ale. It's really fucking good. Great summer beer. I love it. Standard sessionable 5%. We've had this on there before. It's just a good beer. Every time I pick it up, I'm like, I'm in for a refreshing beverage.
Honestly,
Love it.
I've had a lot of it's Kolsch style.
I said Kolsch style,
Yeah,
yes.
because nothing outside of Germany can be a Kolsch. It has to be from Germany to be a Kolsch. I've had a
Thank
lot
you,
of
snooty bitch.
no. But what I'm saying is, I've had a lot of traditional Kolsch's like from Germany,
It's not a champagne if it doesn't come from
and
France.
the Blue Mountain Kolsch is my hands down favorite Kolsch that I've ever had. It is so crisp and clean and easy drinking, and the ultimate sessionable beer. I hands down love this beer for summer patio drinking. This is my #1 patio beer right here.
And the beer for my bachelor party.
Yeah.
Because we got a fuckload for free.
Yeah, we did, and it was phenomenal.
Yes, we just drank a shitload of it. It's great.
Well, and for how much shit I'm giving Hobbit right now, Kolsch 151 from Blue Mountain is actually my favorite beer, my favorite Kolsch probably in the world. Like, it's so good. You can drink it at any time. It's so light, but it's so refreshing and wonderful and delicious. There's a restaurant not too far from where Hobbit does the podcast that is the beer that I order. Like, it's just, I don't care what's on tap. It's just the beer that I know that I want because I know it's going to be good. It's so refreshing and it's light enough to where I know I could have another one. And for me, I am drinking Bold Rock East Coast Local, which we've talked about before. But again, I'm doing Pittsburgh Local today.
Pittsburgh.
So I have my Arsenal. And then for the last couple of days, Hobbit and I have been mixing this deliciousness of the McLaughlin Distillery pink lemonade moonshine
Holy hell.
with regular lemonade, and it is wonderful.
The problem is that tastes like straight up pink lemonade by itself.
Yeah.
But if you were to drink that's not a giant container. You could drink that like a glass of moonshine and then
fall down.
and then die. And then just be not alive anymore.
So we went to a festival that Pittsburgh has had for their second year.
Picklesburg.
Where they had multiple pickle-like items, but there was a booth there that had moonshine, and they had a pickle moonshine. They had, I think the pickle one was like their most popular, but the pink lemonade I think was their third most popular. But they would let you try anything, and it's just awesome because it's so light, it's so refreshing. For the first half of the podcast, I had lemonade and the pink lemonade together, and Hobbit and I had actually split some of this before a couple days ago. So it will last, and it's delicious.
It's crisp. It's refreshing. It'll put you on your ass.
So
It's
unfortunately,
a good
There you
summer
go.
moonshine.
I know we've got a lot of people that listen to us in different areas, and what we talk about is limited. I firmly believe that is not available in Virginia. But all of our Pennsylvania listeners, and I know we have a number of them in Pennsylvania, check it out. What's the distillery again?
It is McLaughlin Distillery, and this one was a batch from March, and it's in Swickly.
That's Swickley.
Swickley?
That's the
Swickley.
fancy part of Pittsburgh.
Swickley, Pennsylvania.
Swickley is definitely not a fancy part of Pittsburgh. Trust me.
But
If you need that spelled out for you, just email GUI.
take a look. All the PA booze laws are horrifying, and if
So confusing.
you have the opportunity, if you see that on the shelf at your local spirit store, definitely check it out. It's very well worth it, and they have a number of different flavors.
Yep.
So
And we did get to go to a lot of different Pittsburgh distilleries up there. If you get the chance, check out Southern Tier. There's a lot of really great Penn Brewery.
Penn
Penn Brewery
Brewery.
was my favorite.
There's a lot of great breweries up in Pittsburgh, and I love to see that movie.
the church.
Oh, the Church Brew Works.
The image of the churches was badass.
Yes.
It's a brewery in an old church with like stained glass windows and
That's
like
the
old-
ultimate shtick. Like, seriously.
The tanks are actually on the altar.
on the altar.
Because the altar of beer. I mean, why not?
It's the
Why not?
altar of beer.
Fantastic.
It's like if you
What was the...
have beer as like your god, this is where you need to go because that is the true fucking church of beer.
What did you have? The banana...
Oh, I had like a banana porter.
Oh,
It was
killer.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
So, we got what everyone's drinking. Now on to our next segment. As you guys know, it is Making a Drunken Scene.
Cue the music.
Making a drunken scene.
All right.
There we go. Now, we're doing something different today, guys. Instead of doing scenes from like a movie or something, which is what we normally pull out. We're talking about literature. So instead of finding conversations that would work as far as for a group conversation from the books, which would have taken way too much fucking time, and I'm kind of lazy. Hobbit and I came up with the idea to do a monologue. So I pulled some of the best dialogue from each character, and we are going to pick what dialogue we want to do.
So
and that's how this is going to work.
These are from the books.
These are from the books.
Okay.
Verbatim from the book.
Okay. So
who do we have as Blaine the Mono?
That's Dustin Two Limes.
Dustin Two Limes.
Now,
Blaine the Mono.
Do you have anything particularly that you're planning on doing this as leading forward? In case you're really terrible at it and people can't figure it out from...
It's going to be very monotone.
Okay.
Oh, because mono.
Yeah, monotone, mono. I just imagine your principal, like the end of school announcements where he just goes on and...
Or what Blaine sounded like to them, because he didn't have so much inflection.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Who is doing the first Eddie Dean?
I'll be handling that.
That is Myke. Nice. Who's doing the first Roland disc chain?
I am.
Katie Tarball.
All right. And who is doing the Man in Black?
I am the Man in Black.
And you have the most important fucking dialogue, too, by the way.
I'm really...
have you read it? Have you read through that yet?
Yeah, I have.
Seriously, it's
I've
pretty
read
deep, right?
Yeah.
It's some deep shit. Who is doing the second Eddie Dean?
That would be Edweird.
Edweird, got that. And I, Lowdown Brown, will be doing the second and last monologue of Roland Disc Chain. All right. So, Blaine the Mono.
At some point, they forgot that the voice of the mono was also the voice of the computer. Not long after that, they forgot I was a servant and began believing I was a god. Since I was built to serve, wink, I fulfilled their requirements and became what they wanted, a god. Dispensing both in favor and in punishment, according to whim, or random access memory, if you prefer. This amused me for a short while. Then, last month, my remaining colleague, Patricia, committed suicide.
All right. Either he really is going senile, Susanna thought, or his inability to grasp the passage of time is another manifestation of his insanity, or it's just another sign of how sick Roland's world has gotten.
I was planning to follow her example when you came along. Interesting people with a knowledge of riddles.
Well done. Because for those that haven't read it,
Thank you.
Blaine's thing is riddles. He loves riddles. A train who loves riddles.
You totally read that like a 1950s like radio news reporter.
Trying to channel Fallout.
Yeah.
He's trying to channel Fallout.
And that was well
the
done.
bar.
Not the bar,
Not
but
the
the
bar
video game.
where we do trivia every first and third Monday. Geeks Under the Influence.
Oh,
trivia.
God. But that was
You guys
well
should
done.
come on.
That was awesome. All right, on to the first Eddie Dean. To Roland.
Eddie Dean. Who's Eddie Dean again? That's Myke.
Yep.
Mike is
Myke.
the first Eddie Dean.
All right, here we go.
There are people who need people to need them. The reason you don't understand is because you're not one of those people. You'd use me and then toss me away like a paper bag if that's what it came down to. God fucked you, my friend. You're just smart enough so it would hurt you to do that. And it's just hard enough so you'd go ahead and do it anyway. You wouldn't be able to help yourself.
And that is Roland in a fucking nutshell. Eddie nailed that shit when he
How's
said
your
that.
mother?
Say hello to your mother for me.
Yeah, say hello to your mother. But seriously, Eddie nailed Roland in that
did.
fucking dialogue right there. That is Roland. He didn't give a fuck.
That is
Eddie.
Eddie.
Oh, no, Eddie described Roland. I said that is Roland in a nutshell.
Yes.
Okay, so
yeah.
how is Roland?
Hmm?
How is Roland?
He's doing well.
He's okay, you know.
Doing good.
He's doing good.
Looking for the tower.
He got kind of fucked on a timeshare for a little bit. But
Don't we all?
Yeah,
but
right.
The thing is, he got bounced back after that. He's doing actually
He
pretty
got
good
this.
now.
He got sold this mid-world package, something about Ride the Beam, and like I don't know, it just all went to shit.
Okay,
you know.
so fuck
There
all
were
of y'all.
roses.
Apparently,
Roses. Roland is very
you know you pay
stoic.
for this later.
I guess.
Yeah.
Stoic could be a good word for him.
Okay. Time flies. Nell's call, life passes, so hear my prayer. Birth is nothing but death begun, so hear my prayer. Death is speechless, so hear my speech. This is Jake who served his ka and his tit. Say true. May the forgiving glance of Samana heal his heart. Say please. May the arms of God raise him from the darkness of his earth. Say please. Surround him, gone with light. Fill him, Chloe, with strength. If he is thirsty, give him water in his clearing. If he is hungry, give him food in the clearing. May his life on this earth and the pain of his passing become as a dream to his waking soul. And let his eyes fall upon every lovely sight. Let him find the friends that were lost to him. And let him, every one whose name he calls, call his in return. This is Jake, who lived well, loved his own, and died as Ka would have it. Each man he owns a death. This is Jake. Give him peace.
Amen.
That was good. That was beautiful. That was really
Ma,
well done.
you're a bear. What are you doing as a bear? that's literally the bow and arrow slinger right there.
Mm-hmm. But that accent worked very well for this. I feel like that was good. All right, we got the Man in Black.
I'm gonna fuck this up so hard. All right, here we go.
I'm
fine.
so hoping you
I'm
do.
here to like just laugh at you and
If you
berate
don't,
you.
I'll fuck up the next one.
I'm gonna do the Man in Black as Sylvester Stallone. Here we go.
Oh my god.
My.
Who started yet?
Go for it.
That's more Godfather.
Oh my god,
hold
I
on, I
gotta
gotta.
take pictures. Hold
Come on, man. You got
just
it.
Drop the corner of your mouth down.
You see, life defeats us. For the fish, the lake in which he lives is the universe. What does the fish think when he is jerked up by the mouth? Through the silver limits of existence, and into the universe, where the land drowns him, and the light in blue madness, where huge bipeds with no gills stuff it into suffocating box ABD, cover it with wet weeds to die. Or one might take the tip of the pencil and magnify it. One reaches the point where a stunning realization strikes home. The pencil tip is not solid. It is composed of atoms which whirl and revolve like a trillion demon planets. What seems solid to us is actually not a loose net held together by gravity. Viewed at their actual size, the distances between these atoms might become league. Gulfs. Eons. The atoms themselves are composed of nuclei and revolve in protons and electrons.
I'm going later, Stallone now.
Yeah.
Protons and electrons. One may step down further to subatomic particles. And then to what? Check you out? Nothing? Of course not. Everything in the universe denies nothing. To suggest an ending is the one absurdity.
And the award goes.
Dude, I feel bad for you going right after that. I've got like a break in between. Jesus, that was beautiful.
I never realized that Sly Stallone was actually just a constipated hobo.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
exactly
totally.
what that was.
That's all he is. Yeah.
That was hobo with a bowel obstruction.
Which, by the way, the less appreciated sequel to Hobo
with a shotgun. Homo with a bowel obstruction.
Just 2 hours of.
Holy fuck, that was great. Oh.
Oh, man.
Woo.
All right. The second Eddie Dean.
Yeah. Dude.
Go for it.
Oh.
Well, that was what was behind door number 1 wasn't so hot. What's behind door number 2 was even worse. So now, instead of quitting like sane people, we're going to go right on ahead and check out what door number 3. The way things have been going, I think it's likely to be something like Godzilla or Gohedra, the three-headed monster. But I am an optimist. I'm still hoping for the stainless steel cookware.
Yes, that was good. The ending of
All right.
the ending
all right.
really sells that one. Like, I'm just hoping for the cookware. That was well done.
I don't know if anybody listening is not noticing that you started going, ah! And I immediately went to the soundboard like, fuck.
Yeah, I totally saw that. I'm like, because I could hear it,
Yeah.
and then I heard it and it sounded better.
Yeah,
So
yeah. All right. Next up.
Sorry for the lack of
I'm gonna see
No, you're good.
see if I can do this. All right, I'm gonna.
Finally, it's you're playing Roland.
And it's an internal monologue to himself, essentially.
Okay, so Lowdown is doing Roland.
Yep. Here we go.
Here we go.
You should do your Irish accent.
No.
Oh, please.
No.
You're Black Irish, right? Is that...
I mean, McIver, I guess. That's
Yeah, I
Black
mean,
Irish.
kinda.
McIver.
I mean, you're Black and you're Irish, so I mean that counts.
If you have given up your heart for the tower, Roland, you have already lost. A heartless creature is a loveless creature. And a loveless creature is a beast. To be a beast is perhaps bearable. Although the man has become one will surely pay hell's own price in the end. But if you should gain your object, what if you should, heartless, storm the Dark Tower and win it? What could you do except degenerate from beast to monster? To gain one's object as a beast would only be bitterly comic, like giving a magnifying glass to an elephant. But to gain one's object as a monster, to pay hell is one thing, but do you want to own it?
You sounded like one of the guys from Dumb and Dumber trying to sound like intelligent.
Yeah, that was-
Like it's-
You know what's frightening is that you sounded frighteningly like
you sounded
Saul's
like
character in Rogue One. It was almost a little bit of
Forrest Whitaker.
a little Forrest
Yeah.
Whitaker in there. Yeah.
I
I
assume
was trying to do the breaks, but it didn't. I actually was trying to go Forrest Whitaker, but I couldn't get the breaks because the way he talks is so stop and go.
if toucans could talk, that would be the way that they talked.
Oh, from like The Lion King, I'm like the toucan from The Lion King.
Well,
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
I think I would much prefer to have some fruit right now. You know,
Okay, well, I would have to say I played a character that I don't really know that much about.
Mhm.
I was Roland, but I don't know much about that character. And I'm wondering, as somebody that wants to read the books, I love knowing about character aspects. So as far as the book series go, is there a comic relief? Is there a hero? Is there a villain? Is there a love? Is there the character that you love that may not fit into those other aspects of it?
Yes, all of that. Roland is pretty much Clint Eastwood as the nameless stranger, except there are times where Roland is really funny. Like, if
I think
you
Stephen King
appreciate
based it off of
probably
Eastwood,
wouldn't
He based it
surprise
off
me at
Clint
all.
Eastwood,
You know,
Outlaw
he's
Joseph
very
Wells.
dry as far as his humor goes. So sometimes, like, him and Eddie will be having a conversation, and Eddie will be just a complete jackass, and Roland will just reply off chain with like something he's used to, and you as the reader, knowing a portion of what Roland is going through, will just crack up about it.
So he will be the main character, but also the comic relief?
No. The comic relief is Eddie Dean.
Eddie Dean.
Eddie
Yeah.
Dean
Okay.
comes across 80s New Yorker. I mean, he's just like balls to the wall, direct. He says what comes to his head. He doesn't even know he's making jokes when he's making jokes. That's that kind of comic relief. I love Eddie. Eddie Dean's great.
If you don't know, I'm a teacher and I take notes on everything. So I already have, not reading the book, that The Gunslinger, it is world building, not a quick read. Steven's first like is The Wastelands, and Steven's second like is Wizard in the Glass. So comic relief is Eddie. So we go to the hero, the villain, the love, and the character that you love.
Well, I think the character that I love is I really do, and you really do end up for me loving Roland just because he's so helplessly following this begrudging path, and
he's so pathetic, but you love him.
He's so pathetic. He's been through so much, but he's still just trudge. At the end, you feel like I envision him like literally crawling into the door of the Dark Tower at the bottom. Like that's how broken and pathetic he is. But he's still just holding on to climb up the steps in the tower. Like
the hero.
Yeah, he's the hero, but every crew needs a wild card, and that's why I love Detta. What could be crazier than a woman with dissociative identity disorder? And you never know if you're going to get a noble, thinking, kind woman or a monster.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, no, I agree. Odetta is hands down probably the most interesting character. It's the most, you get the most depth in that character. You also find a lot of backstory in her that really makes you kind of take a look at society and where we are, how we've treated people, not only people of color, but people with disabilities, and how that can be overcome. And it's a broad, overarching theme of these books is overcoming that inability to handle life. You know, just because you can't handle life at this place doesn't mean that you are not able to do amazing things somewhere else. And so you see the junkie, you see the
prisoner. The prisoner. That's what Eddie is. He's the prisoner.
Yeah, well, and really he's the prisoner of his own addiction. So you have that addicted person. You have somebody who's handicapped. You have somebody who has dealt with racial inadequacies.
There you go.
And you see
words are hard.
You have the young kid who is learning how to be a man. You have Roland, who is a broken man who's learning how to love again and how to handle life. So all the way around, you see that building up of broken people that comes over and over again.
And you really do get the widest range of characters. Roland is the principal, and Jake is the disciple, and you get Eddie, who is the comic relief, and Susanna has like 4 different personalities. There's Detta, there's Odetta, there's Susanna, and then as you move into the books, you get Mia. Yep. So she really is the wildest of wild cards.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to bring this up in the first half because I thought it was like more political than anything. But I know from even discussing the books, but also the movie, you have these, you know, different worlds and you have these different lives. And I feel like it's very representative of people only understanding that it's not just their life. Like they have this outside world that is a part of them, but you're so concentrated on your own feeling that you don't see any sort of outside thing. And that is one thing that I did grasp from this is like them cutting, like them doing the circle in the sand and cutting it into the different worlds and then understanding how there are these different areas that people are in. But it's also like Earth, where even his mom doesn't understand like what he's dealing with. Like this is his own little world, and there's other things that are going on with that, and that's totally representative for real world.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually the thing that kind of upset me with this movie is that I know how in depth these books are just from talking with my friends that have read the books. As somebody that has not seen or not read the books but has seen the movie, I feel like anybody that didn't even know this was a book series would be completely lost, and that's why the Rotten Tomato meter is really low on this movie. Anybody that's familiar with it being a Stephen King series of books and has some vague understanding of it might give it a slightly better grade, but the people that have read it are giving it a super low grade because it suggests stuff but doesn't get into it at all. Like when they're hanging out in the old carnival and it's like, yeah, this is a theme park. Which, no, it's not. It's a fucking carnival. Like, that's not a theme park. That is a carnival. That is some, like, carny bullshit that you're hanging out in. And worse than a carny bullshit, this is, like, degraded alternate dimension carny bullshit, which is why, you know, Roland got murdered, or almost murdered the shit out of. And,
Almost.
There is so much lacking in this movie based on just seeing it. It suggests how deep these books are, and that's what I want to talk about is the movie and how it misses the mark on so many things that the books pick up on.
I wouldn't say that it misses the marks on. It does in places. There's absolutely points where this movie tried to do something that it was not successful with, and I think that's a legitimate statement. But when you look at this as the Wheel of Ka, he has continued to go back and over again through this same story, and this is one incarnation of that story. And when you take it from that perspective, the movie is much, much better than walking in and expecting to see these books adapted for film.
Yes.
If you go into the movie expecting an adaptation of the books that you have read, you will be far more disappointed than going in and saying, hey, this is a movie that is set in the universe of the books that I love. And that's a very, very different place. That being said, I went into this movie with a good friend of mine's daughter. As a younger girl, has not read the books. As a teenager, she loved the movie. Start to finish. She thought it was great, really enjoyed the characters, really enjoyed the story. So I think there's an aspect of expecting a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
So as somebody that has read the books, would you prefer something if it had been made better? Would you prefer this sequel, or would you have preferred them do something from the beginning to the end? To all of you.
I've got to go with. I would love to have seen for instance, Frank Darabont do a direct adaptation of the Dark Tower series for 5 movies. Yes, all direct adaptation with the prime director, but with the choice given, I understand the sequel thing because that gives them a little more liberty. But the idea of the sequel and the Ka is a wheel and constantly going is there's going to be so much similarity that they should be pulling from the books and making it as close to the books as possible still, which they did not do as a sequel. So that's where they fucked up at.
It worries me. I feel like with all the remakes and all the sequels that they're doing with books and movies that we've had in the past, that they could have expanded upon that, and that I feel like people who have seen the movie, a younger generation who has not read the books, will read the books and won't have the patience to get through the books, because the purpose of the books is the journey, not the end point, and the movie was focused on giving us an end point, and I feel like that's an injustice that's been done.
Very good point.
Well, the pro and con of
dad joke number 2.
There you go. Whee. Of the situation is that with the Wheel of Ka being that everything repeats itself, is that there is innumerable opportunities for them to reboot this series. They can do different aspects of it, which I feel the best way to move forward with this. This, from what I understand, opening weekend didn't do terrible, but it did not do great. Mm-mm. It's just kind of a meh kind of response. So there's a possibility of a sequel, but the better response for this is fully Wheel of Ka this situation and contact HBO. Game of Thrones is about to be done.
Oh my God! If they did
Dark
Dark Tower,
don't say that.
If you start now, if you start pre-production now, around the time Game of Thrones is getting done, you can start and do every season as a book. 8
Seriously.
seasons. 8
Seriously,
seasons.
I'm getting fucking
8 seasons of just nonstop Stephen King, amazing, in-depth shit.
That's what I've heard is actually happening. That's from everything that I've heard.
There's a
talking
lot of
about
hearsay.
And it is hearsay. It's this internet, backroom internet backtalk. But what I have heard over and over again is that they are doing this movie, and then they are doing a mini series,
and then another movie,
and then another movie.
Series, and then
right.
another movie.
But that if they do that, if they go back and they take the time to really tell us the original story, this could be as lackluster as this film was. And it is. It is exactly that. But if they go back and really do it justice, this could be, hey, you know what? Maybe it was a slow start, but we could end up being really, really immersed in this universe.
True.
And again, I hate to say it, but you know how much I love her. They're doing a Suicide Squad too. they're doing a Harley movie.
Yeah, it's
They
lots
did
of
not-
female villains.
They did not do that movie justice enough to prepare for a second movie, but yes,
What-
they are.
Why is
that's-
this even a thing that you're bringing up right now?
Because, like, why are they going to do a sequel to a movie that's
okay,
going to
I
do
was
mediocre?
waiting for the connect. I thought
Oh
you were
no,
just so broken
there's a
by
no,
Suicide
no.
Squad.
Well, I am broken. By
Yeah.
Suicide
But the
Squad,
but the series thing would be awesome in
yes,
between movies.
and I agree with you, and that's how they should have done it from the beginning.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
again, like they cannot start a movie series if the first one was not a. I don't understand why they are doing a series of a movie that was not a blockbuster hit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why, because they've got a blockbuster hit coming out, and that's it. I'm almost under the impression that the Dark Tower movie, which I did not hear about until after I had already heard of the It dual feature that's coming out.
Yeah.
I feel like the Dark Tower might have been a I don't know how you say
Like
it.
a preview to the series?
Yeah, like here, this is Stephen King's universe, which is why I feel like they made such a big deal of Pennywise and the Carnival. Here's what's going to happen in September.
Yeah, so I'm actually a fan of both the series and the movie. I think it did get a lot of things right. It's not a disaster of a movie, but I did like the idea because obviously as a fan, I would love to see the in-depth detail. I'd love an episode of a long series about how those guns were forged. I'd love to see the lobstrosities in detail. I didn't get that, but I enjoyed it the way I enjoy Shakespeare productions that are like modernized, a lot of the same beats.
I don't agree with you on the Shakespeare modernizations, but what I was going to say is, with the Dark Tower and the whole It series, like I don't feel like they were kind of trying to make it that, but there was definitely some times where, I mean. It's a different realm. It's definitely a different realm. And so they're trying to make it a whole like different series, but there needed to be those aspects, but I don't think they were trying to relate it at any point.
Here's the problem that I had with the movie. Amongst anything else, we're dancing around trying to compare it to the books, but as somebody that has not read the books, I will take it as a straight down movie on my problems with it. First up, I did not realize the Dark Tower existed in the Stargate universe.
Oh God, here he goes.
No, the whole like fucking alternate universe bullshit that they were pulling with the. It also kind of reminded me of the Mario Brothers movie where you had a very organic environment.
Oh, no, you do not do that.
Hell no.
No,
Do it. You're right.
You had a very organic environment, and you just fucking shoehorned sci-fi into it for no reason whatsoever. A kid goes into a house and he finds a portal to another universe.
That's in the books, though. That's the thing.
it's
but
not
that's
a
in the
portal,
books.
though.
But
That's
does
not a
he
portal,
does
that's
he
true.
find like a fucking like computer that he plugs in a number
No.
to get
No.
to the universe?
No.
That's
He
my
finds a
problem.
door.
He finds a door. I'd be fine with a door because that is some fantasy element shit. I'd be fine with that. The fucking 191 dawn. I believed it in my dreams. I'm going through this fucking sci-fi portal that had to have taken at least 30 people to install at some point in New York City. Like there were sci-fi contractors in New York City in like 1808 being like, yo, I know we're going to build a house over this, but first, let's put these sci-fi elements in while people are riding fucking firefighter cars with horses. We're going to put this in the ground so people can discover it later. It was bullshit. It was utter bullshit. You open a door and you Narnia that shit, I'm way more involved. I'm way more fucking involved. The sci-fi element was fucking... And then the fucking Clockwork Orange shit where they clock the kids in with the fucking mind helmets that they put them in to shoot their
Shine.
their kid brains.
Their shine.
Their shine at the tower. No, fuck. all of you. Fuck all that shit. That was bullshit.
All of these are elements, though, in the King universe and books. There's a crew from Dr. Sleep that steals kids' shines in a much more primitive way. The technology in Midworld is exactly like that. There's magic, and there's also technology. It's a world where there's sentient trains that will kill you, and lightsabers.
And I'm saying, like, I've told you about this book. It's one of my favorite books ever, and I'm an adult, but it's one of my favorite kid books and it's a Clive Barker book about The Thief of Always, where it's a book about kids going into a house and having every single day expressed to them in a certain way. Like, it's every single holiday, their birthday, their Christmas, their Halloween, like everything. So you're telling me that this cannot happen in an alternate universe, but this alternate universe, but like,
well, what I'm telling you is that I wasn't against going into a house and discovering that. The way that they did it, it was my issue.
The movie did it in Injustice because that's
how they did it.
In the book. It was not just Jake. There was never actually Jake being hooked up to one of those machines. It was an actual town where they were actually taking all of the people within Stephen King's universe. You will read certain
what they call them,
Dinky Breakers.
Dinky,
yes. Ted from Hearts in Atlantis and Everything's Eventual ended up in that town. And they were not taking pop shots at the tower. It's not like when they hooked Jake up and they hit the tower. They were breaking the beams that held the town together. And that was Walter's goal.
The beams would make the tower fall.
Exactly.
Breaking the beams would make the tower fall, not breaking the fucking tower.
So, Two Limes just hit it exactly on the head. It did it an injustice. And that's exactly the case. I think that looking at this as its own entity in its own world is absolutely fine. But when you look at the world, the intricate, well-woven, very thoughtfully put together world that Stephen King has built, that the Dark Tower exists in, not only the Dark Tower, but Salem's Lot and The Stand and It and The Talisman and all of these other books, this very intricate...
And The Shining.
Just
Eyes of the Dragon.
You're talking about decades upon decades upon decades of world building. It did it an injustice. And he's absolutely right. It's a very, very wise statement in regards to this, because it did it an injustice. Now, that being said, could you do a movie that did justice to literally 40 plus years of decade building? No,
I
you
agree.
really truly can't do this movie right. And that's why I think the idea of it being a series or it being a whatever is a much better avenue, because you can't do that in 90 minutes. And I think that they were up against a wall of insurmountable odds. And I didn't hate this movie. I didn't hate it. It's not what I wanted, because I think what I wanted, I really couldn't have.
This movie is the Dracula movie that was supposed to start the Dark Universe.
Dracula Untold.
Dracula Untold. And then they went, never mind. No, that's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be the Tom Cruise one.
Yeah.
And then the Tom Cruise one tanked.
And then now, what's next? The Invisible Man one with Johnny Depp's going to tank, and then
I have a good feeling this studio was hoping that this would be the jump start of starting a Stephen King multiverse. And
they didn't do it right.
That's the thing. There is so much available to start a Stephen King multiverse. Like, I would be over the moon excited if they started that in the appropriate way, like an Iron Man way, where you have one story. You take Dark Tower out of it, and you start with it. And then you maybe lay the groundwork of it being part of an additional universe outside.
Yeah, you get
of
bigger.
Just
You go
Derry,
to like The Stand,
out of just Derry, and then you do another movie that incorporates it a little bit, and then you do maybe The Talisman as a start-in, tie-in to the Dark Tower, and then it leads to the fucking Gunslinger, and then you do that right. You've got 20 fucking years of movies if you do that right. What they did is they did a 190-minute movie that tried to tie it all up in one fucking movie. Fuck you, movie studios. You signed your own fucking death warrant on this movie.
But that's what the Gunslinger was. We go back to looking at that original book. Like I said, and I said in the first half of this podcast, it built the world. If they would have done this movie, if this movie would have come out and not been called The Dark Tower, it should have just been called The Gunslinger. It should have just been The Gunslinger. Do the Gunslinger movie. Let that movie be the world. It introduces you to those characters. Let me see. We had the Iron Man movie, and the Iron Man movie introduced us into characters in that universe, and then we got a movie about that character. All of a sudden there's a Thor movie. All of a sudden there's a Captain America movie. That's great. We can have...
This has been done right before.
Yes, it's been done right. The roadmap has been laid out. Why they didn't follow it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do what Disney does. They make lots of money.
And good
And
movies.
that's what I was going to bring up is the fact that, like, everybody is trying to follow Marvel. Like,
No, everybody's trying to do a slight different version of Marvel,
well,
and
yeah.
they're failing because they're not actually following the thing that works.
Batman is my
Fair enough.
favorite. Batman is my ultimate favorite, but I love comic books overall. I love Marvel because they just do it right. And DC is doing it great comic book style now.
Their books are good, dude.
The
Their books are good, dude.
DC is doing it great now comic book
Their
style.
Rebirth, DC Rebirth, right?
Yeah.
They're apparently killing it right
Yeah.
now.
But Marvel has done it right for
MCU.
so many years. Like, yeah, the Marvel Universe, comic book style, movie style, like, they are doing it right. And it's now the fact that, like, other companies are trying to follow on that. And that's what is making it so awful for people because, like, DC especially they've done a lot of great shit over the last couple years. Wonder Woman, amazing.
Yeah.
And there's a release for the next Wonder Woman. But it needs to kind of go from there, and they don't know what to do.
And I don't want to jump what we're talking about, but we talk about the comic adaptation at some point, and Marvel has been a part of that. And
We
King's
gotta
been a part of
gotta jump to that because we're getting very close.
That,
to the end
and that
of-
shit's that was
and
really
it's been
good.
done well.
Yes.
Like I have read up. I have not read the Fall of Gilead and Jericho Hill, which is like the most crucial of the series.
Jericho
But
Hill, yeah, because
I've
that's the
read
whole.
I've read up to that, and for them not to be able to channel what they've done with the comic series and translate it into a movie series is silly.
Yeah, basically the comic filled in the gap of before Wizard and Glass. They filled in Roland growing up until we see him in Wizard and Glass. It's all the backstory. And they even did, the Stand is a comic which ties into Dark Tower, like the whole Captain Trips. Like they did really well with the comic adaptations of Stephen King novels and tying it into the Dark Tower, as well as doing the young Roland and Gilead and all that, and the House of Eld and all that. Like, I think that brought a lot more heart doing it in the comic form to what was already there. Like, it just added to it. If I don't know how many people have actually read that. I don't know if you've read that or not. Yeah, it's solid.
So closing up, like, as somebody that watched the movie, what would you say, and we can go to the different people that have read it, your favorite books and why this is the most significant Stephen King series that you've read? Or what would be your significant Stephen series if this is not it? Stephen King series.
This
if
somehow
is not it.
turned into the dating game. It's
Yeah,
like,
no shit.
I
dating
just
game.
wonder, what is your favorite?
What did you say
But
during
that's a
this
really good
question?
dating
Describe
Yeah.
your best Stephen King evening.
Seriously,
and-
if a chick asks, like, if someone asks me that, like, I'm like, oh well, no, like I said on the first half, my favorite book out of the Dark Tower is The Wasteland is my favorite, and Wizard and Glass is my very, very close second. The reason I love The Wasteland is, like, Eddie did a good job of describing it. He does a very good job of making you feel trapped in that fucking book. You are horrified. You are disgusted. Like, the entire way through, you are scared. There's no let up. It's relentless. That entire book.
I love the fact that we were talking outside and we were talking about Blaine's voice. And having read the book, all of us agreed that this is what his voice sounded like.
Yeah.
There is something to be said for someone literally, and I mean, not literally, but I mean, in literature, being able to...
Literarily.
There you go.
Yeah.
Words that make things right.
Hey, I poed right there.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay, so in a book, to be able to describe something so well that we all heard that voice in our head. We all know exactly what he sounds like. And it was creepy and scary. And I agree with Lowdown. It's my favorite book in the series. It made me the most uncomfortable. It was great.
I'll give you my silly and I'll give you my serious. The silly is the comic book series. When you read the 4th book, you get a little bit of Shimi. And Shimi is a huge character, but you don't know Shimi is a huge character until you read the comic book series. And then you're like, oh my God, he turned the wheel. He turned the wheel, and you won't get that if you don't read it. And my serious is Salem's Lot. I fucking love Father Callahan. I read the Dark Tower series, and he comes in, he's like, yeah, I've been through a bunch of bullshit, you know, Black 13's in my church under my cupboards, and you don't know shit about him. And then I read Salem's Lot, and
He's
I was
a
like,
badass.
oh my God.
He's a badass.
He was a total badass.
Oh, total
He was a
badass.
gunslinger.
Yeah.
He was a total badass in that. So, absolutely, if you've not read Salem's Lot, that is a read that will tie in incredibly with the Dark Tower series.
Fair enough.
The thing I've learned as somebody that has not read any of the books, and that's going to change very soon. Holy shit, it's going to change very soon.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a king on.
It's a dark tower.
It's
a small white tower.
The dark tower with
it's a Swede tower at best.
Surrounded by a field of
it's a
roses.
white
That's all
tower.
that matters.
I'm looking forward to reading these books, and part of the reason why I'm looking forward to it, I thought about it while watching the movie, is that there were suggestions to how big this universe was during the movie without actually describing it or giving the viewer any understanding of it whatsoever. So hopefully, I don't see this movie doing that well, but I think it's going to maybe pick up the book sales on Stephen King, because people are going to be like, that was bullshit. But I want to see actually what they wrote about.
I'm pretty sure it already has. I went running past a coffee shop this morning and saw 2 people in the window reading Dark Tower books.
Okay.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So if that's the case, more power to them, because ultimately I think this movie maybe failed on creating sequels of the Dark Tower, but it might create a lot more interest in the Stephen King books, and maybe they use it as a starting point on the universe, and because of the Wheel of Ka, they can just ignore the Dark Tower and just move forward and get Josh Brolin in as my personal choice.
And I could actually see that.
Yeah, I could see that.
I could see Josh Brolin.
I will have to say this, and we didn't get enough time really, I think, to talk about the actors and the actual making of this. And I know we're trying to get toward the end.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Idris Elba, I would have never chosen him in a million years. He was not even on my radar for the person to play Roland.
Yeah, but he's Idris Elba, so he could get put into any role and
killed it.
He did do a good
He
job.
was so good, and they didn't give him enough to really
that's my problem
flesh
with
out
it.
what he's capable
That's
of.
my problem with it. He played it way too minimalistic for his
but
acting
I think
ability.
that's the directors and that's the script, because that man can act his way around the corner. Let me tell you. But
Yeah.
he was so great, and I would have never chosen that. And I,
No.
I feel bad for saying like I would have never hit that, but he was great in this. So it was good choices.
Well, that sucks, but time's up. And as much as more we could talk about the Dark Tower, I mean, I could literally, like I said, we could do an episode per book. I have enough to say about each book
And
to
they
have
should
an
do
episode.
a series per book.
And they should do a
On
series per
UHO
book
on HBO.
Yes,
Yes, there you
all
go.
the blood
Let's put that
and
out
nudity
there.
and violence would be amazing.
No, let's put it out there. Chris Hardwick has The Walking Dead as his little credence. If HBO ends up doing a series of the Dark Tower series, you get GUI in there to do a talking Dark Tower.
There you go.
We're,
There you go.
Gotta find a better title
absolutely
for that. Somewhere.
Talking Tower.
Talking tower. Like,
Gobbling Tower.
but thank you for joining us for episode 114 of Dark Tower, and I'd like to thank the Gojira Experiment for the use of Little Girl on the intro, and the Creepazoids for Dead by Dawn on the outro. And see you next time, guys.
Shut the fuck up, Lowdown. Oh, that felt so good to say.
Aw, it's so cute.
Join us or die, or I will swallow your soul. Necronomicon gives us power to rise from the dead. You play to take, or play begins to spread. You can fight all you want, cause you don't to resist. We're here to take the world and rule with an iron
GUIPodcast.com.